My name is Anis Fakrana Amalin binti Hizam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Wan Aini Nisa binti Wan Ahmad Nazri.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Noimani binti Ismail.
Hi, my name is Fatin Nur Izzati binti Sahimi.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Balkis binti Azman.
Capital structure refers to the mix of companies' sources of funding, including equity and debt. It represents how a firm finances its overall operations and growth. Companies strive to find an optimal capital structure that balances the cost of debt and equity while maximize value for a shareholder. A capital structure decisions also involve assessing the company's risk tolerance. Higher debt levels can magnify returns for the shareholder, but they also increase financial risk due to interest payments and the obligation to repay principal. Moreover, capital structure decisions are also influenced by the various factors such as including the industry, economic condition, and the company's growth prospects. For instance, a young and rapidly growing company might rely more on the equity to fund expansion, while an established firm might leverage debt for tax advantage. There are several factors influence a company's capital structure decision. First, business risk. The nature and the stability of company's operation play a significant role. High-risk industries may prefer a lower debt ratio to avoid financial distress. Second, tax consideration. Debt interest is tax deductible, making it more attractive option for companies seeking to minimize their tax liabilities. Then this also can influence the choices between debt and equity financing. Third, investor expectation. The preference and expectation of shareholders and the potential investor can influence capital structure decision. For example, if shareholders prefer dividend income, the company might lean towards equity financing. Last but not least, interest rate environment. The prevailing interest rate impact the cost of debt. In a low interest rate environment, companies might be inclined to take on the debt. Balancing all these factors is essential for creating a capital structure that aligns with the company's goal, risk tolerance, and the prevailing economic and market conditions.
I'm going to explain about decision-making process of capital structure. A decision-making process of a company regarding a company capital structure is a very critical aspect of financial management that involves determining the mix of debt and equity that we use to fund its operation and investment. There are several considerations and objectives that will influence the decision-making process regarding the capital structure, and risk tolerance is one of the objectives in which a company willingness to take on financial risk will influence the capital structure decision. If a company operates in a stable industry and has robust cash flow, it might be more inclined to take on a debt to leverage its operation. On the contrary, a company in a volatile industry may choose a more conservative approach with a lower debt to equity ratio to reduce financial risk. Next is financial flexibility. Companies need the ability to adapt to changing market conditions, unforeseen expenses, and investment opportunities. For example, a technology company aiming to stay agile in a rapidly evolving industry may choose a capital structure with more equity to ensure flexibility in pursuing strategic initiatives. These decisions reflect the objective of maintaining adaptability in a dynamic business environment. Next is market condition. During period of low interest rate, companies may be more inclined to issue debt capital on favorable borrowing costs. Conversely, in economic downturn, the preference may shift towards equity financing to shore up liquidity. This decision is driven by the objective of aligning the capital structure with prevailing market conditions. And last but not least, the tax implication. Interest expenses on debt are tax deductible, making a debt financing attractive. For instance, a company might choose to issue bonds to take advantage of the tax benefit associated with interest payment. This decision is rooted in the objective of optimizing the tax position and maximizing after-tax return for the shareholder.
The first capital structure theory is the Modigliani and Miller. It was developed by the economists named Franco Modigliani and Martha Miller in 1958. In this theory, it states that the capital structure of the company will not affect the market value of the company, and this theory is the total combination of debt and equity or equity to fund its operation and finance its asset. And there are two propositions in this theory, which the first proposition claims that the company's capital structure will not affect the overall value of the company. In other words, the value of a levered firm is equal to the value of an unlevered firm. And the second proposition is that the company's value will depends on the three things, which are the required rate of asset return, the cost of debt, and debt to equity ratio. For example, to give this theory, suppose a company has a $100 million market value, and according to this theory, if the company were to issue debt and use the process to repurchase its equity, the market value of the company will remain at $100 million. And this is because the cost of capital is affected by the capital structure, and the cost of capital is a major factor in determining the market value of a company. But the second version of this theory is considered the test to suit with the real world, and the value of levered firm could be said more than the value of the unlevered firm. It can be measured by the following formula: VU equals to EBIT multiplied with 1 minus tax and divided by RU. The advantage of this theory is that it provides a fundamental theoretical framework for thinking about the capital structure and decisions, and it's also it's also recognized the tax shield. Thus, this theory provides insight that the company may choose to use debt financing than equity. The second theory is the static theory. This theory claims that the company's capital structure is determined by a trade-off of a value of tax shield against the cost of bankruptcy. But to rely on the leverage will cause the financial distress risk to rise. So the trade-off theory states that the optimal capital structure of a company can be determined by the balancing of tax-saving benefit from debt and bankruptcy risk. For example, a company is an all-equity funded and is considering how much debt to include. So when the financial manager introduce the debt into the capital structure, the company will get the benefit from the tax shield and on interest payment. The advantage of this theory is that this theory provides a balanced perspective on the use of debt. It recognizes both tax benefit and financial distress costs, and it aims to find the optimal balance between them. And the third theory is the pecking order theory. This theory maintains that the business adhere to a hierarchy of financing source where the companies should use up their internal financing first, followed by the debt, and choosing the equity as a last resort. For example, a company has financed its operation which mainly using through its internal fund. Then the company is needing an external fund to finance its expansion project. So according to this theory, the company will use the internal funding first, then followed by the debt, and lastly will choose equity. The advantage of this theory is that the theory provides the valuable direction on how to raise funding for a new project and explain how information can change the cost of financing.
So, one of my friends was explaining about the decision-making process earlier. Then, what are the potential agency problems that may arise due to a company's capital structure decisions? Alright, agency problems in a company's capital structure often arise from conflicts of interest between stakeholders. such as shareholders and management. For your information, corporate managers pursue their own interests and take unfavorable decisions for the shareholders, leading to agency problems. One of the examples in agency problem between management and shareholders was in 2001 at WorldCom, where the CEO utilized corporate resources to guarantee multiple personal loans. These improper acts caused the business to take on more debt, which had an adverse effect on WorldCom liquidity, capital structure, and stock price in the E. This scenario demonstrates how serious agency problems can arise when agent, executive, or corporate management act selfishly. Other than that, situations may arise in which stockholders of a firm find themselves in conflicts of interest with other stakeholders of the company. For example, employees of a firm might be asking for a general wage increase. If such a wage increase were voted down by stockholders, this could result in key employees departing the organization, eventually leading to poorer business results and the dissatisfaction of other stakeholders in the company as company profits decline. Next, we move to the conflict arising from the cost of equity. When a company relies heavily on equity financing, shareholders may be concerned about the risk and demand a higher return. This could cause disputes with management who wants to keep equity costs as low as possible. For example, shareholders may be concerned about the increased risk to their investment if the company's management choose to pursue risky ventures in order to boost possible returns. An agency problem may arise from this mismatch of interests when management may put their personal goals ahead of the interests of the shareholders. Thus, to reduce the agency cost of stock or equity, shareholders can exert more control over managerial decision-making.
One of the critical assumptions by Modigliani and Miller made in their work is that market information is symmetric, meaning that company and investor have the same information concerning the company future project or investment. This assumption is, however, unrealistic, as in market imperfection, which we call as information asymmetry, is situations where management has more information about the company prospect than the investor. Manager obviously know more than investor. We can prove that by observing stock price change caused by manager announcement. For example, when a company announces an increase in regular dividend, stock price typically rises because investors interpret the increase as a sign of management confidence in future earnings. In other words, the dividend increase information transfer is being from manager to investor. This can happen only if manager know more in the first place. In the signaling hypothesis, based on asymmetric information, there are positive and negative signals that investor will get. The company with a prospect that is extremely positive will take on a high level of debt. When a company increases its debt capital, especially at favorable interest rate, it signals that the company is both creditworthy and capable of going after growth opportunities, making it a positive signal. Also, payments on a debt must be made regardless of business revenue. For smaller or newer businesses, this can be especially dangerous. On negative signal, the company with a prospect negative will likely to take on a low debt. If a company is forced to reduce its debt load or seek capital through an equity offering, it might be seen by investors as a negative signal. As a least profitable company, they want to avoid debt. With equity financing, there is no loan to repay. The businesses doesn't have to make a monthly loan payment, which can be particularly important if the business doesn't initially generate a profit. This in turn gives the company the freedom to channel more money into their growing businesses. In summary, the capital structure of a company significantly influences its financial stability and performance. Balancing debt and equity is crucial for managing cost of capital, minimizing financial risk, and maintaining flexibility. The choice between debt and equity impact investor confidence, leverage, and returns. Regular assessment and adaptability are essential for aligning the capital structure with strategic goals and economic conditions, ensuring a company sustains success. The importance of capital structures lie in its impact on the financial health and performance of a business. Here are 4 key reasons why capital structure is important. Cost of capital optimizations. The capital structure decision significantly affect the cost of capital for a company. Cost of capital is the combined cost of debt and equity financing. Finding the right balance between the debt and equity helps to minimize the overall cost of capital. By optimizing the capital structure, a company can reduce its overall cost of capital, leading to improved profitability. Next, capital structures play a crucial role in managing financial risk. Too much debt can lead to financial distress and bankruptcy risk, especially if the company faces the economic downturn or challenge in generating sufficient cash flow. On the other hand, too much reliance on equity might dilute ownership and control, affecting shareholders' returns. Lastly, the composition of a company capital structure influences its financially flexibility. A well-structured capital mix allows a company to access various financial instruments and adapt to a different market condition. For example, during time of economic expansion, a company might choose to leverage debt to finance growth, while in economic downturn, it might prefer equity financing to avoid excessive debt burdens.